2, 1.
Welcome to ECGR 2103 Team Number 8, The Party Pigs presentation, The Making of Pig, Coding a Dice Game. Here we will explain how we took a classic dice game and made a modern version in C++ with a few unique twists. I'm Colin Evans, and my teammates are Logan Davis, Nick Genie, and Owen Evans. Without further ado, let's get started. So what is Pig? Pig is a classic dice game where players roll one dice, to reach the score limit of 100. A turn consists of the player rolling a dice, but if the dice lands on 2 through 6, the player has the choice to roll again or hold. By rolling again, the score that you get next is added to the total score for that turn. If the player holds, their turn is ended, and that total turn score is added to their total score. If the dice lands on 1, however, the player loses their turn score and ends their turn. We faced a few challenges when coding this project. One being combining the code. We wrote several different versions along the way, and each in our own different methods. Some used variables and some used functions. This resulted in a little bit of a conflict when making the final version and knowing whether to go with functions, vectors, arrays, or variables. Leading to the second point, using and repeating functions was also an issue. We had trouble with maybe naming functions or even knowing what functions to use when to perform a specific task. Loop conditions were also important. We wanted to make sure we had a valid exit condition or that we weren't repeating the same message. Communicating changes made was important throughout the project, with ensuring that all team members communicated what changes they made to their specific version as we tested and implemented. Also, dealing with random roll was important when picking the dice. Occasionally, we ended up with a dice that only rolled 1 or that only rolled doubles.
This brings us to the initial flowchart. Originally, we thought our project would consist of 2 separate dice games. On the left, we have the initial game that was explained in the last slide, and on the right, we have 2 Dice Pig, which is a variation of the original Pig game, but instead with 2 dice.
We added some common functions to clean up the code and to keep it from being repetitive in each section. The game list makes it so that way each game has its own code. I'm sorry, y'all, I messed this part up. We can't even use this recording now.
You're good, man. We can keep going.
Roll function is a main one that is used in every game. Roll or hold is used in almost every game. It is the option to either roll again or hold. Scoreboard is another important function because it's used in every game. It prints out the total score of each player at the end of a turn. An input name is also used in every game. It's the name. All right, I'm gonna make that one better. We'll go to the next slide.
All right. So to start off,
Sorry, y'all.
You're good. You're good, man. To start off the code, we have the main function. The main function starts off by calling our intro function, which is basically ASCII art of a pig and the word pig, and it also goes through asking the player of their name and how many players there are in the game. Once that happens, the main function calls the game list, which outputs a list of the 5 games we have. From there, the player is able to choose one of the 5 games. On the right here, we have our final flowchart that has the main function, the beginning and the end. If the player picks the first choice in the game list, it brings them to standard. Standard is pretty much the standard pig game talked about at the beginning of the presentation, where if you roll 2 through 6, you can roll again or hold, and if you roll 1, you lose your turn score and it ends your turn. This loops through every player's turn, and at the end of each round, the scoreboard is displayed. This loop runs until one of the players reaches the score of 100. On the right here, we have the flowchart for that. Nick.
Oh, I'm sorry. Two Dice Pig consists of a function that is almost identical to Pig Turn, except two random rolls are called at different times, so the seed varies. On a single one roll, the player's turn ends and the turn score is removed, just like in Pig. But if two ones are rolled, or Snake Eyes, the player's score is deleted and they have to start over from 0. The player is asked if they want to roll again or hold using the roll or hold function, just like in Pig. Scorekeeping works the same as the other games. Turn score tracks the player's score during the turn. Total score tracks the player's total score, and the scoreboard function displays each player's score after a cycle of finished turns. In Big Pig, the game is very similar to Two Dice Pig, except when a player rolls doubles, the roll is doubled. For example, double threes is scored as 12 points. And when a player rolls Snake Eyes, the turn score is increased by 25. Unique conditionals that identify doubles as separate from double ones, and single ones separate from double ones.
Hog is another variation of Pig. The turn score is still 100, and no, the turn score is still resets at 1, and the first to 100 wins. This game, players get to choose how many dice they would like to roll. The more dice you roll, the more likely it is to get 1. If a player gets a 1, it resets the turn score. And to add some more variation, I added a cheater function where if my name is spelled wrong and it's OWN, then it rolls a separate die that is only 2 through 6. That way you never get a 1 and the turn score never resets before you get to 100 faster.
Pop the Pig works essentially the same as standard, with a few key differences. As a custom game mode added by the team, we were able to almost pick and choose our own rules with this. So, it calls the same functions in the beginning, however, it prompts the user to change the new high score, for example, changing it to 20 instead of 100. The same rules as Pig apply, including if the dice lands on 2 to 6, the player has the choice to roll again or hold. If the dice lands on 1, however, the player loses their turn score and ends their turn. With Pop the Pig, the exceptions include that the player must roll exactly the winning score set at the beginning in order to win. And if that score is exceeded, the player has popped the pig and loses all points. Play continues until a player rolls the exact score. And the total score for each player is displayed at the end of each round. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed our presentation, and if you have any questions, please contact the team through the Canvas discussion board. Go ahead and play for yourself by scanning the code below or following the link. Enjoy!